Good morning, church. Thank you again for joining me on this third day of our study of Proverbs. We're going to continue Proverbs chapter 8, and we'll address that question that I left you with yesterday, or the homework assignment rather, to read chapters 5, 6, and 7, and 8 in one sitting, and to recognize the difference between 8 and those other chapters. And I think once you do that, you see it becomes very obvious that in 5, 6, and 7, the wisdom is very hands-on, very practical. This is what you should do in these circumstances. This is what you need to avoid. When we get to chapter 8, and I mentioned yesterday that it's as if Solomon gives the floor, gives the mic to Lady Wisdom, and she speaks about herself, building a case to sell her value and her virtue, to explain the benefits, and to influence us to want to embrace wisdom, embrace her lifestyle. And we see that right up front as wisdom begins to speak. In verses 4 and 5, we see who wisdom is speaking to men, to children of men, to those who are simple, even to fools. That is, even to unbelievers, because it's the fool that says in his heart there is no God. So wisdom is even crying out to unbelievers, I have something to say to you. Listen to me. It will be of benefit and eternal value to you. And why should wisdom be listened to? Well, because the nature of her message is good. When you look at verses 6 through 9, listen to what wisdom says. I speak noble things. From my lips come what is right. I utter truth. Nothing twisted, nothing crooked. My words are straight and right to those who find knowledge. And so wisdom is saying, if you want to know what is right, what is noble, what is straight, what is true, then you need to listen to me. And not only should you listen because the message is good, but because of the extreme value in doing so. Listen to what she says in verses 10 and 11. Take my instruction instead of silver, knowledge rather than choice gold. Wisdom is better than jewels. All that you may desire can't compare with wisdom. Wisdom is infinitely more valuable than anything we might pursue, anything that we might want to trade for wisdom. If we trade gold and silver and precious jewels for wisdom, we're shortchanging ourselves. So wisdom says, I am much more valuable than anything you could set your heart on. I want to leave you with a question at the end, but I'm going to kind of give you a preview here in verses 12 through 14 of the answer. And the question is, how do you know if what you are hearing is wise? Or if it is simply a message of the world? Or if it is just your own thoughts? You know, we have to be able to distinguish true wisdom from deception and from perhaps our own wayward thoughts. We have a clue here in these next few verses on how to recognize and distinguish wisdom. In verses 12, she says, I, wisdom, dwell with prudence, knowledge, and discretion. The fear of the Lord is the hatred of evil. Pride and arrogance and the way of evil and perverted speech I hate. I have counsel and sound wisdom. Insight I have strength. There we have a clue how to recognize wisdom. But we're going to move on. And I want to point out that wisdom has a supreme virtue. And that is, wisdom is the foundation for leadership. Anyone who would seek to be a leader, whether it be of your family, whether it be in the workplace, whether it be at school, on the campus, wherever you're going, if you want to be a person of influence and a leader, wisdom is a necessity. It is indispensable. Listen to verses 15 and 16. By me, by wisdom, kings reign. Rulers decree what is just. Princes rule and nobles govern justly. There is no reigning, no right decrees, no rules, no justice without true wisdom. Wisdom follows that by pointing out what the benefits are of listening to her. I love those who love me, and those who seek me diligently find me. Riches and honor are with me, enduring wealth and righteousness. My fruit is better than gold, even fine gold. Well, we saw that earlier when she says wisdom is more valuable than anything this world has to offer. And she points out here that the fruit of living a wise life is even better. So when we employ wisdom and live a life skillfully based on the wisdom of God in the Scripture, the results of our life are going to pay far higher dividends than fine gold and choice silver. Now, where do you find wisdom? Verses 20 and 21 tell us, in the way of righteousness and in the paths of justice. Wisdom says, that's where I walk. I walk in the way of righteousness, in the paths of justice. And then verse 21, we get an additional benefit, an additional offer, as it were, from wisdom. Granting an inheritance to those who love me and filling their treasuries. So if we want to inherit that which is valuable and filled with treasure, it is by adopting wisdom. Verses 22 to 26 tell us where wisdom first shows up. And then verses 27 through 31, wisdom explains what she accomplished. Very quickly, where do we first see wisdom? Where does wisdom first appear on the scene of history, as it were? Well, at the beginning of the Lord's work in verse 22. Ages ago, before the beginning of the earth, verse 23. Before the mountains had been shaped and the hills were brought forth, verse 25. Before the Lord had made the earth with its fields, or the first of the dust of the world. Before the earth came into being, wisdom was there with the Lord. So that's where we first see wisdom, even before the creation of the world. And then when Yahweh, when God, when the Father, Son, and Spirit begin creating, listen to what wisdom has to say. When He, that is Yahweh, established the heavens, I was there. When He drew the circle on the face of the deep, when He made firm the skies above, when He established the fountains of the deep, when He assigned the sea its limit so that the waters might not transgress its command, when He marked out the foundations of the earth, then I was beside Him like a master workman. Wisdom had her hand in the creation of the world. Wisdom, as it were, was God's main tool, so to speak. He relied on wisdom. That's why everything is so coherent and consistent in the world. That's why nothing has happened by chance or couldn't happen by chance, because the all-wise Creator God employed His wisdom and created everything that we see. And so from verses 4 through 31, we see why wisdom is of supreme value and why it is in our best interest to live a life that is marked by wisdom and to pursue wisdom. Now, I want to conclude with that question that I touched on just a few moments ago in regards to being able to distinguish the voice of wisdom from competing voices, even voices that might be louder than wisdom. How do you do that? What do you listen for? What is the clue that something that you're hearing is wise or unwise? I want to explore that question tomorrow, but give you a hint that you find the answers in verses 8 through 12. Actually, 8 through 14. So that's your homework assignment for today. Read Proverbs 8 through 14, and ask yourself, how do I know if what I am hearing is God's wisdom or if it is something else that might be coming from the world? I leave you with that, church. We'll see you tomorrow. God bless you.